In software programming, the term front-end refers to the part of a software application that is responsible for the user interface, UI, and user experience, UX. It focuses on the presentation layer and handles the interaction between the user and the application. Front-end programming involves writing code that defines the structure, layout, and behavior of the user interface components. It typically includes technologies such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which are commonly used to create web-based front-ends. Other frameworks and libraries like React, Angular, or Vue.js are often employed to facilitate the development of complex and interactive user interfaces. Front-end programming involves tasks such as designing and implementing user interfaces, handling user input, managing state and data presentation, and integrating with back-end systems or APIs to fetch or update data. It requires knowledge of programming languages, web standards, UI, UX design principles, and familiarity with front-end development tools and frameworks. Overall, front-end programming focuses on creating visually appealing, responsive, and user-friendly interfaces that allow users to interact with software applications effectively. Certainly, front-end programming involves several key aspects that contribute to the development of a user-friendly and interactive software interface. Here are some additional details. HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is a fundamental language for structuring the content of web pages. It defines the elements and their layout on a web page, such as headings, paragraphs, lists, tables, forms, and more. HTML provides the foundation for displaying information and user interface components. CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. CSS is used to control the visual presentation and layout of HTML elements. It defines the styles, colors, fonts, spacing, and positioning of elements on a web page. CSS allows front-end developers to customize the appearance of user interfaces, making them visually appealing and consistent across different devices. JavaScript. JavaScript is a versatile programming language that enables interactivity and dynamic behavior on the front end. It allows developers to add functionality to web pages, handle user interactions, validate form inputs, perform calculations, manipulate data, and make AJAX requests to fetch or update information from back-end servers. UI, UX design. Front-end programming involves collaborating with UI, UX designers to translate design concepts into working interfaces. It requires understanding design principles, user experience considerations, and accessibility standards to create intuitive and visually pleasing interfaces. Front-end developers often work closely with designers to implement animations, responsive layouts, and other interactive elements. Front-end frameworks and libraries. There are several front-end frameworks and libraries available that simplify the development process and enhance productivity. Popular examples include React, Angular, and Vue.js. These frameworks provide reusable components, state management tools, and other features that help streamline front-end development and improve code organization. Responsive web design. Front-end programming also involves ensuring that the user interface is responsive, meaning it adapts and scales appropriately across different devices and screen sizes. This involves using CSS media queries, flexible layouts, and images that adjust dynamically to provide an optimal viewing experience on desktops, tablets, and mobile devices. Cross-browser compatibility. Front-end developers need to ensure that their software works consistently across different web browsers, such as Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. They may need to apply specific CSS hacks or JavaScript workarounds to address browser-specific quirks and ensure a consistent experience for all users. Testing and debugging. Front-end developers perform testing and debugging to identify and fix issues in their code. They use browser developer tools, automated testing frameworks, and manual testing techniques to verify the functionality, responsiveness, and performance of their front-end code. Overall, front-end programming combines technical skills with design principles to create visually appealing and user-friendly interfaces. It involves coding in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, collaborating with designers, utilizing frameworks and libraries, ensuring responsiveness and cross-browser compatibility, and performing testing and debugging to deliver high-quality front-end experiences. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are not compiled in the traditional sense like some programming languages. Instead, they are interpreted and executed by the web browser. Here's a breakdown of how each of these technologies is processed by the browser. HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. 1. The browser receives an HTML file from the web server. 2. The browser's rendering engine parses the HTML document and builds the Document Object Model, DOM, which represents the structure and content of the web page. 3. As the DOM is constructed, the browser encounters HTML tags and their attributes, interpreting them to determine how to render the elements on the page. 4. The browser renders the HTML elements, displaying the content, images, links, and other elements as specified in the HTML file. CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. 1. The browser's rendering engine processes the CSS code embedded within the HTML file or linked externally. 2. It applies the CSS styles to the corresponding HTML elements based on the selectors and declarations defined in the CSS code. 3. The rendering engine calculates the layout and positioning of elements on the page according to the CSS rules. 4. The browser applies the styles and renders the web page accordingly, displaying the content with the defined styles. JavaScript. 1. After the HTML and CSS have been parsed and rendered, the browser encounters JavaScript code either embedded within the HTML file or referenced from an external script file. 2. The browser's JavaScript engine processes the JavaScript code line by line, executing the instructions and performing the defined actions. 3. JavaScript can manipulate the DOM, dynamically modify the HTML and CSS, handle user interactions, make AJAX requests, perform calculations, and more. 4. The JavaScript code can also interact with the browser's APIs and other web services to retrieve or send data. 5. The browser executes the JavaScript code in real time, updating the web page and responding to user actions accordingly. So, rather than compilation, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript go through an interpretation and rendering process within the browser to create the desired web page.